It's summer, summer, summertime, which means that Coffee with Yvonne is on summer hiatus. But don't worry, I pulled some Coffee with Yvonne episodes from our archive. We have an archive, y'all, to keep you entertained all summer long. That means interviews from creatives and entrepreneurs who are changing the game in their industry, or marketing magic episodes you may have missed. But don't worry, I put them back up on your timeline so you can stay up to date on all the things happening in the marketing and creative space. Coffee with Yvonne will return this fall after I finish being outside. After I finish being outside. I cannot wait to chat with you soon for the new season of Coffee with Yvonne. Okay, bye! Welcome back to Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creatives and entrepreneurs. I'm Yvonne Pearson, your host, and darling, the founder of Pink Dollhouse Marketing. And this week on the show, we're going to do another marketing magic episode. I know you love those because I love them too. It's actually one of my favorite things to talk about is marketing. Even when I'm not working as a marketing girly and moonlighting as a content creator, I still talk about marketing. Surely do, because marketing is honestly in everything. Like, think about it. Can we talk real quick before we get into the topics? Okay, think about it. The clothes that you're wearing, you probably were influenced by a content creator or an influencer or an ad. That's marketing. Your favorite detergent, lotion, perfume, that's marketing. How you bought your car, that's marketing too. Everything is marketing, and therefore everything has tie into strategy, whether you're talking about more of the fun industries or even all the way down to the sciences. I hope you picked up on that for those who follow me in real life. But to get back to the goal of today's show, and if you hear me going a little I just put rubber bands on my braces. Shout out to Dr. Patrice, but also Dr. Patrice. I didn't want these rubber bands, but I'm wearing them. She says I have to wear them all day long and also at night. So much fun for orthodontia. But again, look at these teeth. Are they looking good? Now, do I know when they're going to get taken off, when I'm going to take off these braces? No. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But we're still here. Anyway, let's get into these marketing magic episode. And for those of you who are new here, I'm going to be diving into popular campaigns you may have seen up and down your timeline on social media, or may have heard about and did not know that there were marketing strategies behind them. So grab your coffee or juice or a little tequila or whatever you're sipping on, because I'm recording this episode around 6 o'clock in the evening. And okay, so grab your coffee and let's chat. If you want to know what's in my cup, there's nothing special today. It's really that Simply blueberry lemonade. Have you ever had it? It's good. Now, I'm not encouraging libations, but if you were to add a little libation to the blueberry lemonade, I recommend tequila. Because it just adds a little something there. Ooh, and then if you put a little fresh fruit and then shake it up, or put it in a blender or freeze it, it makes a nice little refreshing beverage. Surely does. Okay, so for our topics this week, we're going to be chatting all about trailer drops and trend stops, how JCPenney's inclusive move moves the needle forward in fashion, Sephora and strategy, how brands turn fans into action, and then finally, creators call the shot. KevOnStage partnership with Fuse. In our first story, let's talk about JCPenney. JCPenney, for the girlies who know back in the day, remember when we went back to school shopping, our mamas would take us to Kmart, JCPenney, back in the day. If you want to take it even further, Cowdoors. I spent many a Sunday in my childhood at Cowdoors where my mama looked for suits to wear to church and work. But anyway, the source for this story comes from Glossy. And if we were to pull an excerpt from the source, Ashley Graham, the plus size, I don't really like using plus size as much. The inclusive size model is deepening her relationship with JCPenney through a new plus size only clothing line. Ashley Graham and JCPenney will feature 29 styles in sizes 14W through 30W. Why is this important? The reason why this is important, before we get into those marketing takeaways, the fashion industry, how can I say this nicely without being shady? The fashion industry, a couple of years ago, fully leaned into providing more size-inclusive lines. Before, straight size styles, or styles that only went up to roughly a size 10 or 12, were more common in stores. Then you had the girlies who were above a size 12, who wore more like a size 14, like myself, who had a hard time shopping in regular stores and finding styles that were fashionable and with the trends. Because we don't all want to wear a muumuu. We wanted to explore different trends just like everyone else. Unfortunately, the fashion industry was not properly serving that customer. Then you had brands like Eloquii that was very popular during that time period when it first launched. You had other brands like Torrid, who were answering the call. And then you have more higher end brands. So what was needed in the fashion industry was to answer that need for that target customer of curvier women who wanted fashionable styles that spoke to their needs and also were not just materials that were just the bigger version of what the straight sizes were. Essentially saying, don't just make this in my size and it's not tailored correctly or doesn't look great on my body. Think about me holistically as a customer the way you would everyone else. The plus size industry, though, and more so the inclusive size industry in general, in recent years has really dialed back on how much they have in inclusive sizing, both online and in stores. And you've also seen brands like Eloquii shift in recent years. No shade to Eloquii, but the quality is not what the quality used to be. Because Eloquii has changed hands more than once, being sold to Walmart, and then now being sold to another company that has a portfolio of brands for size-inclusive shoppers. Unfortunately, when that happens, a lot of brands lose the formula that they started out with. They start just generating out product instead of think about the full business model and how this may be perceived by their customers to eliminate, pare down, or sell off these size inclusive brands. Now, entering JCPenney in their partnership with Ashley Graham is doing something that I think a lot of content creators or people who are in that space are trying to do with their platform. She has evolved outside of how we were introduced to her. Initially, Ashley Graham works as a plus size or size inclusive model. She's done various campaigns, walked multiple runways, and the girl serves. The girl serves. She has also been very vocal about the lack of inclusivity in the fashion industry space. Her, along with other fashion models like Tabria Majors, who is also a size inclusive model, they have been very vocal about where the lack of diversity is in the fashion industry, along with Christine. You know her as Kim by Christine on social media. So getting into those marketing takeaways, why this is such an important launch. First, audience first exclusivity. By creating a line specifically for curvier shoppers, the brand communicates that it truly understands and values its audience. Fans feel seen and represented in a way that token inclusivity can achieve. And for those of you who are new here, if you see me looking down at my screen, I bring notes to the conversation to make sure that we're having an engaged and informed chat. Then, we're looking at things like focusing on defined segment that allows marketing messages, visuals, and campaigns to resonate more strongly, rather than trying to appeal to everyone, which touches on what I said a little bit before about creating a dress or a product and then just making the bigger size of it. This approach creates brand loyalists who are engaged in the community that they're building at JCPenney through this line. And then finally, under that first takeaway, in a crowded retail market, positioning a line as exclusive to this audience differentiates JCPenney from competitors who may offer inclusive sizes but dilute messaging across sizes. It's also noted that JCPenney has been around, like I said before, for a number of years. And even though the fashion industry has changed, JCPenney has been trying their best to regain their position as an affordable solution to your everyday needs, right? But unfortunately, that has been a bit of a struggle, not just for JCPenney, but a number of retailers as the space has changed due to influencers, tech, and how we really engage with shopping now in this new space with social media and now with AI becoming more and more common in our everyday life. For the second marketing takeaway, let's focus on cinematic storytelling. Instead of just showing the clothes, the trailer that was promoting the new line by Ashley Graham at JCPenney, the trailer told a story about confidence, empowerment, and body positivity. And to give you an idea, when I saw this trailer, that was promoted. It was a different way of saying that they had a new line coming out with Ashley Graham. Instead of giving us a really glamorized, highly styled rollout, Ashley Graham and the team created a trailer in which Ashley felt like she was disappearing. You know, she felt like she wasn't seen anymore. And there were multiple references in the trailer that noted that as well. And it was just an interesting take on it because it was a way of also saying how a lot of women who are curvier or who are looking for fashions in broader spaces feel like they're not being served as customers. By addressing that in the trailer, the team automatically, to me, addressed the need of this customer and told them that we hear you and we see you, and this is our solution for you to make you loyal to us and our brands. Then let's look into cultural positioning. By mimicking, like I said before, a Hollywood trailer, the goal itself becomes aspirational, playful, and event-worthy. So creating that social media buzz instead of just another retail drop. When you look at things like campaign rollouts now, it's not anymore good enough just to put a post up on social and hope you get that audience engagement. You have to find different ways to tap into your audience. You have to find different ways to talk to your audience and engage with them in meaningful ways. Audience engagement, tied with authenticity, continues to be a selling point across multiple channels. And then that final marketing takeaway, creator-led campaigns. Fans, by seeing themselves reflected in the creators, this fosters trust, emotional connection with the brand, and also, again, like I mentioned before, drives that organic reach and social engagement. So think about it. You see the trailer come on your feed. You get excited. You hit that little arrow button to start sharing it out to your DM groups, because I know I have multiple DM groups that I'm part of at this point, or share the link out on your personal feed or via text message to your friends who may not be on those channels. That allows for people to feel like, hey, I'm not only excited about this brand, but I want to also share it with my audience as well to let them know and get in on the excitement. So maybe they could be part of this campaign, you know, by purchasing the product, by maybe creating content around their excitement for seeing the product, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And by selecting creators, to tie it all up with a big bow, by selecting creators who genuinely embody the brand's values, this ensures that the messaging is authentic. It avoids the pitfalls of inauthentic influencer marketing, which is something some brands could do a better job at. But it avoids those pitfalls and allows for people to see that not only JCPenney and Ashley Graham are being purposeful in their marketing and their message, but they want to make sure that the people who are included in the campaign believe in the message and the product as well. Okay, in our next story, we're going to talk about Sephora and strategy, how brands turn fan into action. I got this from Retail Boss. And again, for those of you who are new here, I like to pull sources from reputable platforms. I like to go to Afrotech. I really enjoy, you know, platforms similar to Retail Boss that talk more about the business side of everything, or even go into the press rooms of the brands or businesses I'm referring to get the press release from when they push the story out to media outlets. To pull an excerpt from the actual article, Sincerely Yours, the new teen-focused skincare brand created by co-founder Jordan Matter and Salish Matter, has taken the beauty world by storm with its exclusive launch earlier this week at Sephora stores across the U.S. The record-breaking debut not only sold out shelves, but also signaled major shifts in how Gen Alpha expects for brands to engage, innovate, and evolve their community and product creation. More than 80,000 fans, that's a lot of people. 80,000 fans flooded the American Dream Mall for the Sincerely Yours launch event, resulting in one of the, excuse me, you guys, again, the braces, resulting in one of the largest gatherings the venue has ever hosted. Fans lined up as early as midnight, with some camping out overnight, hoping for selfies, meet and greets, and exclusive merchandise. So let's get into those marketing takeaways. First, let's talk about how to leverage creator fandom. Teens were already invested in Salicia's voice and brand, so her endorsements carry more weight than a generic campaign. And thinking about Gen Alpha, I know Gen Alpha gets a lot of slack. You know, I know there were articles that were on the socials and across the various platforms about how Gen Alpha, or this younger customer base that was formed, was going into these box retail stores like Sephora and, testing product, or, not being an ideal customer for the Sephora or similar beauty brands. Now, thinking about it though, when we were around that age of Gen Alpha, that's when you start having interest in different things that you may see your mom, the women in your life, or someone in your life who's into certain things. That's when you start having, maybe this is something that I would like too. And you start experimenting with different looks, hairstyles, etc. Even fashion, because I know I made a lot of mistakes. Namely, that one outfit that I wore where I looked like a blueberry muffin in high school. Why I allow myself to wear that much blue from head to toe. Yvonne, it's okay. You only got clown for one day. You donate the outfit shortly after. But knowing that that is the age in which you start to experiment with your look and trying to figure out who you are as a consumer, this is important to note that Sephora not only saw the potential of Gen Alpha as a customer, they tapped into it and then further tapped into it by bringing in this content creator, Salish, with their voice and brand to leverage their platform to tie in the partnership to launch their product at Sephora stores. Rather than heavily relying spending on a broader campaign and spending millions of dollars and hoping to move the needle and turning that into sales, the brand again leveraged that organic reach through the creators' channels. Creators like Salish already have that audience tapped in because they're already following them. And by doing a couple strategic posts promoting the rollout, those teens then went to their parents, and them parents, they're like, okay, just tell me the date and time, we'll go, grab your friends, X, Y, and Z. And by doing so, they then took that and created from social media to in-person engagement, getting the excitement and the hype that turned into a visual impact at their stores with 80,000 people. The content and the messaging also reflected the audience interests, values, and culture, which ensured resonance from the first post to the pop-up event at the American Dream Mall. When we look at marketing takeaway number 2, the event as a marketing channel, by leveraging experimental marketing, which is the pop-up itself acted as a narrative that fans could participate in, creating memories, like I mentioned before, through social content that they wanted to share. So if you were to imagine it, let's take it from the beginnings-ish of the campaign. Salish creates this cute little video letting people know that their product is coming out. It's coming out at this Sephora at the American Dream Mall. They drop the date, the time, do something cute like hope to see you there, something like that while they're using the product. Then when they roll out that content on social media, now you start to see the engagement. You start to see the comments, oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh my God, I so had to go. And then they start tagging people on social media. You see the shares, you see the bookmarks, you see all the different engagement metrics that you're looking for as a marketer to let you know that this post or this campaign is driving success in audience engagement. Now, your final test is to see, okay, we did a great job with this post. We saw high engagement, but will that translate into foot traffic and sales with this pop-up? Now, you're seeing people who are sharing their posts about get ready with me's, perhaps. They're sharing their posts leading up to them going to the actual American Dream Mall to line up. They're sharing their excitement building up to the actual event. They're sharing their excitement waiting in line. And then finally, they're sharing their excitement when they get a chance to shop the actual pop-up in stores. So now, you're seeing how that digital audience is translating to in-person sales. For the Sephora executive team, this test pop-up is letting them know Salish's audience is a real audience, not just an audience that lives on a social media channel. Their audience actually came out to support Salish to buy this product, and now we're getting Gen Alpha as customers to Sephora through this content creator. Finally, community building. Community building with physical events allow for a deep connection and brand loyalty, turning, again, casual buyers into long-term fans. I know for me, even though we didn't have Sephora back when I was a teen, we had places like Bath and Body Works. Bath and Body Works, for girlies who remember, along with Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, Jasmine, Cherry Blossom, There was another one that we really loved when we were kids too, but that turned us into customers of Bath and Body Works. Now, when I think about buying candles, I automatically go to Bath and Body Works. While my perfume preferences have changed, I do enjoy special collections like the Princess Tiana collection that they did that Bath and Body Works rolls out as part of their marketing strategy. So by getting me as a customer very early and getting those couple of products, it turned into me requesting gift baskets for my birthday, requesting the cute little, travel items that I keep in my travel box when it's time for me to go somewhere. I stayed a loyal customer to Bath and Body Works over time. And then finally, for that marketing takeaway for this segment, audience engagement and feedback. Again, it's not just important to do the post, to hope that it works and go from there. You want to see what that engagement and feedback is going to look like. So they approached it by doing two-way engagement. Teens weren't just consumers, they were collaborators whose voices shaped the event and the product experience. For marketers, a lot of times, we're looking for those insights from our audience to know how to build and structure these campaigns to make sure that they are effective. We do that sometimes through surveys, through actual one-on-one feedback and asking questions about what people like or what people dislike or what they want from the product that we're creating or future campaigns that we may include based on their feedback. Then, by building in that trust, it showed the brand cared about its community and it showed the brand wanted to nurture this specific audience. And then finally, what they did, they donated a portion of their sales to Girls Inc., creating a purpose-driven marketing, allowing for fans to feel part of a larger social mission. Gen Z, millennials as well, and Gen Alpha are more socially conscious than previous generations. We are very socially conscious about where our dollars go to, about who we support, and initiatives that drive community. For me especially, it's important for me to do my best to support small businesses, small creators, and even inclusive designers or brands that may not have a huge following, but give them my support first before I give it to anyone else. Of course, there are larger conglomerates out there, but our generation, along with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, we are definitely conscious about where we put our money. And if we know our money is going to doing something good in communities, we're more willing to spend our dollars to support that. Okay, in our final story, we're going to talk about KevOnStage. KevOnStage and his partnership with Fuse. I got this from Variety, and in the excerpt, Fuse Media has announced a multi-year partnership. Okay, come on, multi-year, with comedian and creator KevOnStage Fredericks to develop and produce a slate of original shows for Fuse Plus and its FAST channels. The collaboration aims to spotlight culturally relevant, creator-driven content and expands Fuse's mission to amplify diverse voices while giving Fredericks ownership and creative control. Because we love ownership and creative control, don't we? We surely do. Hence why Coffee with Yvonne is produced by Yvonne Pearson, who owns Pink Dot House Marketing, which is also registered and trademarked. I love that for me. Okay, let's get into those marketing takeaways, shall we? So for those marketing takeaways, first thing we're going to talk about are creators as content architects. Brands and media platforms are recognizing that creators have built-in insights when it comes to their audience, what works, what resonates, and what feels authentic. Authenticity is a common thread you're going to keep hearing in these new marketing spaces and campaigns because it's not going away. By giving creators control over the intellectual property or IP, brands tap into original ideas that audiences actually want rather than relying solely on traditional executives or market research. And what that tells me too is companies are recognizing that they don't have the formula for everything to be successful anymore because the creators are now driving the narrative forward. The creators are tapped into their audiences. The creators are actually creating based on ideas that they're coming up with based on their own cultural experiences or the everyday life that they live. And by having that, Fuse and the fast channels that the content will be produced for benefit from that original content. Original content are things that are new, that are fresh, that haven't been done before. Before we get back to the topic, there's this show called The Comic Shop on YouTube that has become one of my absolute favorite shows. It is produced and owned and developed by a content creator or an original creator through her own work. And it has blown my mind of thinking about what original content can look like on a YouTube channel, because the level of production that I see with this show is the kind of stuff you see on, regular TV or networks. Creators are moving the needle forward of what the future of media and content will look like based on their own original ideas, and having that ownership that was mentioned in one of the marketing takeaways is so important because it gives us that control of how we want to be represented on these platforms. So the approach positions the creator as a strategic partner, which often leads to richer, more culturally authentic content, like I mentioned a bit before, and stronger audience loyalty. Think about it. KevOnStage already has a built-in audience with the KevOnStage studios. They have the podcasts, they have the TV shows that they sold to BET Plus, like Churchy, and I think The Hospital just debuted not too long ago. KevOnStage has an audience that already has bought into KevOnStage and KevOnStage Productions. On top of that, KevOnStage is also someone who is highly relatable. When you see his content on social media, you pay attention. It's funny, it's real, it's authentic. It's someone that you actually will want to have a real conversation with. So by buying into him, by tapping into his work, you are now invested in the full universe that he's creating. So let's get into that next marketing takeaway. Cultural relevance and strategy. Aligning with creators who already have credibility in their niche communities allows for brands to communicate in an authentic voice rather than impose corporate voice. A little bit of what I mentioned before. Authenticity is going to be driving the needle forward. That cultural resonance drives emotional engagement, which leads to higher retention, shares, and advocacy. This is true because I watch Churchy. I don't have BET Plus, but I signed up for BET Plus solely because Churchy was on the platform and I wanted to support KevOnStage and his initiatives. Also, brands can amplify this by embedding creators into strategy sessions and campaign planning, not just execution, ensuring every touchpoint aligns with audience values and expectations. Finally, let's talk about ownership equals longevity. When creators feel ownership or have ownership, they are more invested in the success of the project, which often leads to higher quality and a consistent engagement. No one wants to be the person who sells an idea and then sees their idea totally flipped upside down his head and there's nothing associated with what you did before. I know for me, I were to sell, not Pink Dollhouse, that's my baby. If I were to do a media partnership for Coffee with Yvonne, I will want to retain ownership and creative control over my show. It is not my dream to have someone come in and completely flip it on its head, because unless you're going to contribute something that's going to amplify it even more to the next level, turning it upside down on its head and moving away from the original theme and purpose is not something I want to do, no matter how much money is on the table. My original ideas, my concept, my direction. Period. So this creates, to go back to our marketing takeaways, a win-win relationship. The platform gains, again, authentic, loyal content, while the creator grows the brand and their audience alongside it. Essentially what this deal is going to do is going to elevate KevOnStage to that next level. KevOnStage has done a great job authentically building his platform brick by brick. We have witnessed it because a lot of us have been following him since pretty much the beginning. We have seen him take risks, move the needle forward, put people on, and also think about how he wants to present himself, not just as a comedian, but as a producer and a strategist. This will elevate him even further in that executive level to even open even more bigger doors for creators in the space. Finally, this model fosters sustainable storytelling as content evolves organically with the creator's vision rather than being limited by short-term trends or purely corporate directives. I know that's right, because sometimes corporate, sometimes corporate. Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.